Hey everyone, how's it going? Let's play some Dungeon Crawl Stone Soup here in 2020 with this beginner caster guide and our beautiful Ogre Venom Mage. So, Dungeon 9 is clear, and we found the lair. I am actually going to go down one more level in the dungeon and see how it feels. At this point, you are getting into what I would call the early mid-game for Dungeon Crawl. You are about level 10 of the main dungeon, and you are starting to unlock some sub-branches that you have the option to go into. So if I push Control O and bring up the dungeon overview screen, you can see that now we have found the lair. The branches that you have found are in yellow, and it's on Dungeon 9. There are 6 levels of the lair, of which we have explored none. Also, the Orcish Mines can appear anywhere between Dungeon level 9 and Dungeon level 12. It's random every time. Now, I feel that it's totally cool to clear down to Dungeon 12 and kind of stop there on the main dungeon. And then it is, in my opinion, the next thing you want to do is the lair and the Orcish Mines to get some experience and get stronger for the rest of the main dungeon, get some new treasures and things. So what order you do that in is based on your gear, your comfort level, but generally the lair is easier than the Orcish Mines, especially the second level of the Orcish Mines. However, if you are a character that only has a sword or an axe or something, and you don't have a way of dealing with hydras, no wands or anything, then the lair might not be for you. Luckily, we don't care about that. We're not chopping up people. We're poisoning them. So I will go to the lair, but I think it's okay to just clear a little bit more of the main dungeon, maybe try to find the Orcish Mines, but this is where you start to develop what I call your feel. There's a lot of parts of this game that are just feel, when to run away from a fight, how hard a monster is, what spells to use, when to use consumables, and when the dungeon is getting to a point where it just feels a little too hard and you want to go to a different branch or a different place to get stronger. So we're going to develop that feel. Now look at that. There's a scroll of Enchant Armor. So let me bring up my armor really fast. Our robe is an artifact robe, so we can't enchant it at all. Artifacts you cannot use enchant scrolls on, but our hat can be enchanted. What I will call just briefly accessory armor, your hat, your cloak, your gloves, and your boots, those kinds of pieces can be enchanted up to +2 if they are normal items. Artifacts can of course go higher than that, but for standard items that you can enchant that either have a brand or don't, +2 is their ceiling. So the hat we have, we can actually enchant, and that's totally fine. Our cloak is at maximum enchant, and so we can't enchant it anymore. What happens if you enchant the hat is going to be that we get +1 armor class. Alright, so now we went from 11 to 12 armor class. And armor class, if I haven't explained it, it's not that important with a caster compared to it would be with melee because you're rolling it a lot more often. But basically armor class works like this. It mitigates incoming physical damage. Anything that rolls against armor class, spells even can check against armor class. It just depends on which spell. Anything that checks against your armor class, the higher your armor class, the bigger the chance that it will mitigate that incoming damage. And it kind of works like this. It rolls basically a number from 1 to the maximum end of your armor class. It might even roll from 0. And then let's say I have a 12 right now, so I'm like rolling a d12. If I get a 12, then 12 damage or thereabouts is shaved off. There's other parts of the equation, but that's kind of like a rough and ready way to think about it. But you could also roll low and not shave off that much. But the higher the number, the bigger your ceiling of mitigation. So raising your armor class is always a good thing to do. Now, of course, keep in mind that yes, you know, high armor class is good, but we still are pretty fragile. So let's not get crazy, let's go ahead and just say we're a little bit safer than we were before. All right, there's 2 targets on the screen that I can poison, and they're both sleeping. I'm just going to poison the black bear, and he stepped out of view, so I'm going to step back diagonally to this square, and he is still following us, but he's poisoned. I'm going to poison him again using poison vapors. Poison him one more time. There we go. And then I'm just going to ignite poison and kill him instantly. And then poison this guy. And if he wants to step into the fire, which he has done, okay, fine. The reason that I killed that bear really quickly is, as I said before, bears will go berserk on you when they get low health, and berserk changes the difficulty of an enemy dramatically, profoundly. They attack faster, they attack for more damage, and they attack as if they had more strength. So they can rip you apart. Be very careful with any enemy that has a buff, whether it's haste or might or berserk. Just be very, very careful. Alright, so we are hungry. I'm going to eat, and I'm going to pull all of these orcs into my world. Keep in mind we're looking for the Orcish Mines, so a high concentration of orcs is a good indicator that we're pretty close to that. I'm going to step up and step over here. I'm just going to push S and see if the Orcish Knight is going to come into view. Doesn't look like he wants to. Alright, well that's fine. And then let's just poison vapors. These guys are not hard, so poison vapors will tear them apart. I'll sting him. He's gone. I was going to use Toxic Radiance on all of them, but the Orcish Knight decided not to come over. Alright. Dead snake. Hey, more Enchant Armor. We can make this beautiful purple hat that we have even better. Alright, I'm going to use it. There's arguments for sandbagging Scrolls of Enchant for better equipment, and I totally get that, but a lot of the time I like to just use stuff up front because it's embarrassing to die with stuff that you were saving for later. Dungeon Crawl's such a hard game, especially if you're new. Just use your stuff. Just make sure that you're alive. That's the key. Alright. Here's 2 targets, so I will just Toxic Radiance these guys and then step back around the corner. Remember, poison still works, even if they're not in line of sight. I'm going to ignite this guy and kill him. Yeah, see, this guy died off screen. We didn't even get a chance to say hello. Alright, here's that Orc Warrior again. I'm sorry. I mislabeled this guy. He is not an Orcish Knight. Orcish Knights are even more dangerous. This is just an Orcish Warrior, who is still quite dangerous, especially if he gets up close. He's very strong. He generally has heavy armor, like chainmail, scale mail, or plate mail. And he's got a 2-handed weapon, a halberd there, that he wants to just absolutely annihilate us with. If I go over him, by the way... oh, he actually has a glaive. Oh, it's -3. Well, that's good. He's wearing chainmail, but it says he can hit for 20 plus his weapon damage, so he can just hit us for like 30 to 40 damage in a shot if he's feeling good about himself, and so we don't want that to happen. So we'll just poison him. Luckily, he doesn't like poison, and so he's going to die any second now. Let's just wait. He's gone. And then there's a regular orc that we can just poison vapors and let him die. And this brown staircase is indeed the entrance to the Orcish Mines. The Orcish Mines is an optional branch. You do not have to do it to beat the game. You could entirely skip it if you wanted to, you know, if you were trying to beat the game really quickly or something. But generally, I like the Orcish Mines for this reason. It's experience, obviously. But more importantly, it's filled with gold. There's like money everywhere, and then on the bottom floor, if you can clear it out, there is a vault that contains at minimum 4 shops. And so they're randomly generated stores, but it's an opportunity to spend a bunch of your money. Like, I have 716 gold right now, and I would get a whole bunch more if I went in there. And you get a look at a lot of items. Shops are great because while random, you can really fill your gaps in your equipment or your consumables with shops. So it's very, very nice to go to the Ogre Mines and buy stuff. Sometimes there's nothing there. Sometimes it's a complete bust. Other times it's like a game-changing item or items are on sale. All right, so here comes an ice beast. So we're just going to, whoops, wrong spell. I'm going to put down a cloud right here, and we'll just ignite him, and he's not going to enjoy that. I'm going to put down another cloud right here and ignite him again. And then he's almost dead. He's really close, so I'm going to cast Sandblast on him. He's not dying. We're going to have to get him. Let's just sting him then. There we go. Sometimes Sandblast doesn't roll well, and the Ice Beast probably has high armor class, so enemies with huge armor class are not really even affected by Sandblast at all. They're like, what, you knock some little stones and sand at me? I'm wearing plate mail. It does nothing. But a lot of enemies get ripped apart by it. It just depends. Alright, so here's a Bullfrog Skeleton. So we'll just bring him back. And I'm going to put a cloud right here. And ignite poison. And I'm just going to stand here and let him die in the flames. Identify scroll is good. We have several potions that are not identified, so I'm going to read my scroll of identify. Oh, actually I have two. Let me identify my potions. I always love to identify potions first because they have a huge impact, and it's nice to know what they are. You never want to drink them blind. And on top of that, what I like to do is identify the potion stacks that I have the most of. So for example, this stack of 4 smoky ruby potions, I'm going to identify it. And there are 3 potions of lignification, which are very awkward potions that turn you into a tree, and most of the time are worthless, but there are some key situations where they are absolutely insane, but most of the time not that great. I'm going to read another scroll of identify and identify this stack of 2 potions of flight. Also very situational, but they can help you get to some hidden treasures or navigate certain lava or water areas. Alright, we're just going to let this black bear, he's berserk now, and he is hitting us. And because he's berserk, he actually moves faster, so you can't really like run away from a berserked enemy without getting hit most of the time, because they're moving faster than you are and they can attack you. And so it's really, really nasty. Another reason you want to kill stuff that's berserk really fast. This two-headed ogre is a very hard enemy. He's red, as you can see. Red threat level means yikes. But I'm going to step over here to give myself a look at this escape path if I need it, and continue doing this, letting him get poisoned. And then here I'm going to go ahead and cast my Mephitic Cloud on him. And I'm going to push S. Oh, wow. He completely juked me. He stepped around the cloud, out of my line of sight. He just basically destroyed me. But we will be okay, and here's why. We have a scroll of blinking if we need it. This dude, this two-headed ogre, check him out. He can hit us twice. Okay, once for 15 plus his club, and another for 20 plus his club. He could potentially do like 60 to 70 damage if you hit with both, which is mortifying. Alright? But we can still take one shot and then blink away if things go badly. So I'm going to cast my Mephitic Cloud, and I'm going to put it here. Okay. And luckily he got confused. That was what I was trying to do in the first place. Alright, I'm going to step back, and I'm going to Toxic Radiance. And now he's getting poisoned on top of poisoned, and I'm going to then ignite poison. And he's very, very injured, and now he's just confused and walking around without thinking about it into the flames. I'm going to Toxic Radiance again. The two-headed ogre has died. We get a whole bunch of experience, and then this Sky Beast has added on, but he's so poisoned that we can ignite him and kill him. And we just got We leveled up. We got a bunch of stuff. We have 100 hit points now. All because we could poison that two-headed ogre. And the reason we survived when he got adjacent was that we confused him with Mephitic Cloud. That is an unbelievable combo that will keep you alive and let you kill hard things as long as they are susceptible to poison. However, I do want to point out that I got kind of lucky there. The ogre could have not been confused and pounded me, but I was able to take that chance because of my consumables, and that's another thing you always have to be factoring. Let me push the R button to show you my scrolls. I have a scroll of blinking. For me, as a player, this is one of the biggest ace in the holes that you can get, because what it allows you to do is to target any square within your line of sight and blink to it instantly. And so if he took me down to like 20, I could just blink away, and an ogre is slow. I can easily outmove him. I mean, I'm an ogre. We move at the same speed. So I could easily outmove him, go up the stairs and rest and be okay, or teleport or something. So I was able to take that chance right there. And sometimes you have to do stuff like that, but you can afford to be more cautious. If you like, you know, and take no chances. But generally the game doesn't permit that. There's not enough safety for something like that. But I also just want to point out, don't take unnecessary risks just because. Alright, so we got a Wand of Enslavement. Now, if I push Shift V to bring up my evocables, it'll show me. I have a Wand of Acid, a Wand of Flame, and now a Wand of Enslavement, as well as my Lightning Rod. If I push Z and go to my spells, you can see that I'm getting really, really good at casting all of my spells. And so I think at some point there is an argument for us to start turning on evocations. This skill determines how powerful our evocable items are. So our wands, our lightning rod, things like that, their power is based off of the level of evocation skill that we have. So it's certainly worth raising, although we have a -2 aptitude, so I wouldn't go very far with it. But right now, I'm still comfortable raising poison magic, and let me show you why. We still are at 2 spell hunger with Toxic Radiance and can improve there. But pretty soon I might turn off of that and start leveling some other things up. Now this Bullfrog Skeleton has decided to be asleep. I'm going to sandblast him and just absolutely annihilate him. I'm going to get this. I'm going to poison this bear from really far away with vapors. And then I'm just going to ignite him and kill him. And we're going to keep exploring. Here's a crocodile. Now this is actually a pretty tough enemy. So I'm going to push Z and just put a Mephitic Cloud like right here. Oh, I miscast it. Well, luckily he's still sleeping. He didn't even know I did that. Let me try it again. There we go. So now he's in the cloud. I'm on the Radiance just to get him a stack poison, and then I'll ignite poison, and boom, he's been obliterated. The Humid is now giving us the opportunity to memorize Shock, which not really that interesting. However, you know what is kind of interesting is memorizing Pass Wall. Pass Wall is a kind of interesting spell that allows you, as it says, to pass through a wall, and you can use this in some interesting ways to sneak up on enemies, to get into areas and avoid certain enemies. And you can also use it to escape, but you have to be very, very careful. I had a death recently with Pass Wall. Pass Wall takes time to actually happen, and that time depends on how thick the wall is. So you need to make sure you're far away from the enemies. But it provides just this like chance to escape that is very, very potent when it can be used. And sometimes you just need more options for running away. I have 18 spell levels also, and only takes up 2. I'm actually going to memorize Pass Wall and Stone Arrow right now. Remember, we got an Earth Magic book, and Stone Arrow is a very, very strong conjuration spell that will help us nuke down enemies faster in single target and hit enemies that don't care about poison. So I'm going to memorize Pass Wall, yes, and memorize Stone Arrow, yes. And then, oops, memorize Stone Arrow, yes, capital Y. Okay, now I'm then actually, because of that, going to turn off spellcasting and turn on conjurations. Get a little bit better with Stone Arrow. Alright, here's an Ice Beast. So, let's just step up here on the Ice Beast, and I'm going to show you Stone Arrow. Stone Arrow is a very nice spell. It doesn't have max range, unfortunately. Step down. He's still sleeping, mercifully. And we can cast Stone Arrow. It has a 6% fail rate, so it could backfire and not work, but he's sleeping, so we can take a chance. And you see that we just did like half of his health. And so let's try it again. We miscast it. Let me try it one more time. And we almost killed him. And then now what we can do is just, oops, not Sandblast. That doesn't really work. Let's just sting him and then ignite poison. Remember, Ice Beast does not like fire, so you burn his blood once it's been poisoned, and he is not happy about it. Alright, so that's all the way through Dungeon 10. We do have an unidentified scroll, and I'm going to read that. It's a scroll of summoning. Look at that. So scrolls of summoning do exactly what they say. They summon a bunch of enemies that are friendly to you. The purple circle in the upper left corner indicates that they've been summoned. They're temporary. And the green ring around them means that they're allies, that they are friends, that they won't hurt you, and that you can change places with them when you move. So like I can walk through them and they'll just shift out of the way. They will only last for a little bit of time, but scrolls of summoning are great. Now, this scroll of summoning gave me a bunch of low-level guys because my evocation skill is poor. Alright. Actually, scratch that. I'm not entirely sure if evocations works on scrolls. Scrolls might just be a set level. They might be based on your experience level. But either way, we do have a little cadre of guys, which is cool. And now all further scrolls of summoning will be identified. Alright, the question is, do I want to go deeper in dungeon or not? I don't think so. I think I'm okay with being at Dungeon 10 and having that clear, and I'm going to go to the lair. So I'm going to push Shift-G, and that's kind of like the where do you want to go? And it shows you in the text box in the bottom left the different branches of the dungeon that you have explored, and you can use the letter shortcut to go there. So I'm going to go capital L and go to the lair, and it says what level? And I'm going to go to the first level. That's all I know. So I'm going to push a 1, and here we go. And we're almost there, but then there's a porcupine. So I'm going to poison him again, and we'll just ignite him to kill him. And then I'm going to wait before I go into the lair, and I'm going to go down. And now we are in the lair of beasts, and we can start exploring. There's a ring of cold resistance. Okay, so right away we've encountered the hardest types of enemy that are available that are non-unique in the lair, which are hydras. There are other hard enemies, but hydras are the most prolific, and they're notorious for killing players because they're underestimated and they're not played against correctly. Do not use a sharp weapon to chop a hydra unless it has a flaming brand on it, because you will spawn more heads. Each head can bite you. So let me go over this guy and show you that it says it can bite 4 times for 18 damage each. That means it can hit me for 72 damage if all heads hit at max damage. Youch, right? And this is a 4-headed hydra. This is one of the weaker ones. I believe 3-headed hydra is the smallest heads they can spawn at, and they can get higher and higher and higher the deeper you go. So they're very, very scary. Always remember, though, hydras are slow. They move slowly, so you can beat them at range with wands, or with spells. So I'm going to just poison this guy with poison vapors. And it says, wait a minute, it would do no harm to the Hydra, right? Because if we go over him, he is resistant to poison. Uh-oh, so what do? Well, we treat him like anything else. We're going to Mephitic Cloud and ignite the poison. But before we do that, he's far away. Let's hit him with a wand. I'm going to hit him with my Wand of Acid. I have 13 charges with it. A Wand of Acid is a unbelievably powerful wand, but he is just out of range. You can see that he is one tile away. So while he's moving closer, I'm going to shoot my lightning rod at him. And he's still out of range. So what do? Well, when in doubt, use a Wand of Flame. I only have 5 charges with it, but Wand of Flame is max range. It goes to the extent of your line of sight. And we poke him, and we hit him a little bit. And then we're going to hit him with acid. Boom. Okay. If you hit somebody good with acid, it says the bolt of acid hits him, he's splashed with acid, and he's been corroded. That's what this little kind of like fancy fruity drink icon that's yellow means, that he's been corroded with acid. And his armor class is down, and he's hurt. So you can use this to your advantage. You can weaken them. You can with corrosion. Now that he's close enough, I'm going to push capital Z, and we're going to do Mephitic Cloud right here. And he's in the cloud. And this is a good time to cast Sting and just ignite the poison that he's in. Now he's escaped, so we can move away. And remember, this dude is not fast, right? So what we can do now is cast Mephitic Cloud again, kind of like we did with the two-headed ogre. Now this might not work well, but we're going to try it anyway. We're going to put the poison on him, and you can see he bit me for 4 damage, he missed me twice, and he bit me again. So he rolled badly on his attacks. Good for us. And he's in the poison. So what can we do here? Well, what I'm going to do is ignite the poison again. And now he is almost dead. He tried to bite us again, but he missed us and did no damage. I'm going to step up, and he dies in the flames. Now, that could have gone badly, but again, we had our blinking scroll to run away if we needed to. Alright, so let's keep taking on this layer here. See what we can find besides unhinged hydras. Alright, so here's butterflies. Now butterflies are not aggressive. They are neutral, but they can get in the way of your spells. So be careful. Summon Butterflies is one of it's a spell that if you can get it, I don't actually have it yet. It's a low-level spell. It's a first-level spell, and you make a bunch of butterflies, and it's actually one of the best spells in the game for shielding yourself from enemies that are trying to target you with things that require line of fire. You can obscure all of that with some butterflies. It's an extremely powerful spell that they're taking out of the game in the next version, but for now, get it and use it. Alright, so here's another Enchant Armor, but we no longer have anything we can enchant. However, I'm still on the lookout for a shield, and we haven't found one yet. But when we do, we'll use our Enchant Armor on that, most probably. Alright, let's go ahead and poison this rat. He dies. And let's pick up some gold. I'll just go ahead and poison these rats. They don't make it. I'll give this Komodo dragon several stacks of poison to consider. And then I'm going to ignite him. Oops. Okay. We failed to cast our ignite poison. How embarrassing. Alright. I'm going to just Toxic Radiance these 3 enemies. Now the water moccasin is not impressed. But that's okay because we can just do something like this. Wow, that's about the worst that could have happened there with the cloud distribution, so we'll cast it again. There we go, and ignite the poison. The water moccasin is standing in the poison, so I'm just going to sting him until he goes down. and burns alive. And we'll just kill that guy with some vapors. We'll vapors him. Oops, I guess I'll have to sting him. He survived. Here comes a Basilisk. Okay, so a Basilisk is an enemy you have to be very, very careful of because they turn you to stone. He doesn't see me yet, so I'm going to give him poison. He has stepped out of line of sight. He's probably gone to this square, and he's going to pop out here. So let's just step over here to let him suffer in silence for a moment. And there he is. And I'm going to give him again with vapors. And I'm going to just ignite poison to kill him before he starts to try to petrify me. If they look at you and do their gaze and it works, then it'll say something like you start to slow down and you will become slow, and then after another couple of turns you will just turn to stone. At which point you obviously can't cast spells, can't really do anything. You just stand there and let the enemies wail on you for a bit. You do have good armor class because you're stone, but it's generally not something that you want to have happening. Alright, I'm going to just go ahead and poison these wolves, and then this guy... Oh, I'm impressed. I'm impressed that he came through the fire. Let's just let him stay there, and then... There he goes. Okay. Spiny Frog. Alright, so Spiny Frog is one of the... He's another tough enemy in the lair, and he is resistant to poison. So we have to use some other means of getting rid of him. So... what do I want to do to this guy? He doesn't see us yet, so I'm going to take a step forward. And then I'm going to see if I can... Oh, I'm not trying to cast Pass Wall. Try Stone Arrow. There we go. Let's hit this guy with Stone Arrow, and then just to bring him over. And then we'll put a cloud right here. And then we'll ignite it. And he's almost dead, so let's just hit him with Stone Arrow again. There he goes. Got him. Okay, and we got some Remove Curse. Let's explore a little bit. Ooh, there's a manual. Fantastic. Let's just poison this guy until he goes down, and he's down. Wow, Manual of Armor. Okay, so a manual is an item that you get, and you carry it. It does take an inventory slot, and you can see here that what it does is it gives you a +4 bonus to whatever skill it applies to. And so instead of having a -2 aptitude, I now have a net +2 aptitude, and it adjusts how expensive it is to raise that skill. So they're fantastic for leveling skills. They only last for a set amount of experience, and then they are used up and disappear, no longer taking an inventory slot. But they're terrific to have, and I'm not going to be leveling up armor right now, but when I do get some armor that I can wear, it's always nice to have a little bit of armor. Alright, so I just ignited that guy. And we're just kind of poisoning people casually. Letting the Hell Rat eventually die. 2 Hell Rats? Okay. Time for Toxic Radiance. And then I'll just poison Vapors to one guy. Oh, great. Okay, so now we get Frozen Ramparts again, and if you recall before, I do like this spell, so I'm going to memorize it. I might not cast it right now, but soon enough, it could easily go on our list. Spiny Frog again, he's aware. I'll just put a cloud right here, so he has to cross through it to get to me. And we'll ignite the poison and sting him, and then just kind of... I'm casting Stone Arrow on him while he's standing in the fire, and he dies. So you're trying to get spells in your arsenal that can complement your poison spells to kill enemies that don't care about poison. Alright, and I'm just going to ignite this wolf now that he's so hurt, and eat him. We now have 2 scrolls of Enchant Armor. So that's fantastic, and what that means is when we do get a shield, we're going to be ready to use it and ready to enchant it. Alright everybody, so that's the first level of the lair. So we went down to Dungeon 10, we did the lair, we've memorized several new spells, and we are experience level 11, rocking and rolling. I think this is a good place for us to end the episode. So I'll check you guys in the next one when we continue progressing through the lair, trying to skill up, find some treasure for ourselves, get some spell books, get some more spells online, and continue this beginner caster guide with the Ogre Venom Mage. I'm trying to just show you more content so I can show you some possible solutions to the problems that the dungeon and the sub-branches present as you progress further into the game. Hope you guys find this useful, entertaining, educational, and if you do like this and haven't yet subscribed to the channel, could you please do so? I'd really appreciate it, and I will check you guys next time. Thanks again so much for watching. Take care.